Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Bianca Bears All, the show where I would talk about absolutely everything. And today we are talking about a girl that's been living with bipolar, an eating disorder and self-harming. It is the fabulous Olivia.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on. Can I just first of all say that it actually takes guts for you to come on and, you know, tell your story and, like, you know, share with everyone what you've been living with and what you're still going through. And can I just say, you know, growing up in the 80s, I don't remember anything about bipolar or mental health or self-harming. I mean, maybe people were suffering quietly, I don't know.
Yeah.
So actually doing this, I've actually learnt quite a lot.
Yeah.
So
researching me.
Yeah, researching. And actually, I've known you for quite some time.
Yeah.
And it actually now makes sense.
It makes sense.
And we'll go through everything, but it actually makes, like, sometimes I used to look at you and think, what a weirdo.
Yeah.
But it actually
now what a diagnosed weirdo.
But we loved you as a weirdo, hence that's why we've been friends for so long, right? But yeah, so let's just go back to right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what was your family life like? Where was you brought up? Yeah.
Okay, so I was brought up in Brentwood. My family, there's my family. Right, my family, there's I was with my mum, my dad, my sister. And we're really close with my 3 cousins and my nan and granddad. To be honest, we have quite a close family. So my family life was good. My nan used to run a charity. So we used to we used to host family for kids coming over in Chernobyl from the Chernobyl disaster.
Right.
So there was always a lot of, like, young kids. It was always active. It was always chaotic. Like, there was always loads going on. So it wasn't boring. There was, there was always stuff going on. Like, I can't fault it. So it was always fun. There was stuff going on. I was really close to everyone.
And you've got another sister, haven't you?
So I've got my sister, I've got my cousin, Amelia. I've got all of my...
Got a big close family. And
Yeah, so to be honest, my family life was really good.
What was your, like, school life, like primary?
School, I would say I was bullied at school when I was in... But, so actually, I think this started quite a lot of, like, my own issues with myself off. Because I was bullied in my primary school... But, see, I only realise this now when I look back on things because I was kind of bullied by someone that was in my friendship group. So, and I think that has gone towards a lot of things with kind of every relationship I've been in because it's kind of like, it's given me a very warped idea of relationships because it was like I'd want to be able to play with my friends, but one of the people in my friendship group was also bullying me. So I'd go to school each time, like hoping that this would be a day that I'd be like accepted or like they'd be nice to me. So it would almost be like someone would be being horrible to me, but I'd be trying to be nice to them. So from like quite a young age, if someone was nasty to me, my instant reaction would be nicer to them. So, you know, like, no, and then that's like gone forwards into like later life with, I have like got myself into like quite some not very good relationships with, I don't know, red flags. I'm like a bull, I rage straight towards them. But I'm like, hello. But yeah, well, true. But no, but as in it, so in general, with, you know, from having that from when I was very little, then it's obviously like, you know, things just get bigger and bigger as time goes on. And my automatic response to like something slightly going wrong is like, I have to fix it. And then that's kind of been my, I don't know, I felt like that's been my role in like friendships, relationships, different things like that. So if someone's been horrible to me or someone's been nasty, I'm like, right, I need to make them feel happy. I need to make them accept me, or I need to like mould into whatever it is they want.
Normally, if someone was like nasty to me, I would be like, you can do one.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably said that to me a few times. Yeah.
And so that is when your anorexia started, wasn't it? Because of the bullying.
Yeah, so it was like, yeah, so I think it was like, I just didn't really know who I was. So and I think it was because I spent so much time like trying to be what I thought everyone else wanted me to be, that I was kind of like, I was just so insecure.
Okay.
I found all these like internet things. So that was kind of what, 10, 9,
right.
10-ish.
Yeah.
So it was like when Neopets came out.
Right.
Like,
see, this is crazy to me, right? Because when I was like 9, 10,
yeah.
I was playing with ponies and dollies, and I didn't even like look at other people like, oh, look at how they look like. I want to be like them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this is actually quite interesting. So you know the group of people that you were hanging about with?
Yeah.
Were they like stick thin or?
No. So it wasn't even about being skinny.
Right.
It was like, it wasn't even that. It was, I mean, I was doing ballet a lot. So maybe that mingled into it. It became more about looks or about skinniness maybe when I was a bit older.
Right.
But back then there was these websites and stuff that you could go on that I got just addicted to. And then that was the first time I felt kind of accepted on these forums.
Right.
And I remember I was quite young because it was when I had a Neopet dragon, which was like this online dragon. So I must have been like relatively young because I was still like, I have to feed my Neopet after school. So like, and then I was like,
is that like a Tamagotchi?
Yeah, it's like a Tamagotchi on, because I had like this purple dragon. And so I was like, I need to feed my purple dragon, and then I need to like type to all these people about like how much I've eaten. And it was like, and if I did what they said, then they would accept me. And it all kind of just got worse and worse from there, because the more like this little online forum was nice to me, and like then I would just do whatever they said.
So what was the forum saying to you?
So it was all of these like pro anorexia, pro Mia, which is like pro bulimia things. And it was like online, so you know, like MSN kind of thing. So it was like online friends, but you'd have like pictures, you'd have like Thinspo, and there was loads of them back there. Like they were so easy to get onto, and it was just like it was addictive. Just so addictive. And then there'd be pictures. I was obsessed with Mary Kate Olsen. There was pictures of Mary Kate Olsen, and I got so obsessed to the point where like I'd look in the mirror because I didn't look like her. Then I'd be like, I didn't think I was me. Like it was a really like unhealthy obsession. I'd have pictures everywhere. I'd try and find the same kind of clothes. And then I'd feel so bad that I couldn't look like that I'd feel like I'd just failed in everything in life. It was just really, and all of a sudden, like being, like having friends didn't matter, or like a boyfriend or anything, because these people like mattered. Like
And what eating disorder did you have?
So at that time, it was like I was trying to be anorexic, but I couldn't.
Okay.
Because I wanted to eat.
Yeah.
And so every time I was failing. So I was looking at this list of what I could and couldn't eat, and I was trying so hard, and then I would fail. And I'd go back onto this website and I'd be like, oh, look, I ate this. And then they'd be like, I can't, right, you have to punish yourself. And so that's where the self-harming came in. Because
these websites still going around now, today?
So, not really. That most of them have either stopped or now they're much more, they're kind of towards like ish kind of help, like they're more like a community thing, and they don't promote. Whereas these were like promoting you to pretty much kill yourself. Like,
right, wow.
But
do you remember the first time you did it, and how did you do it?
What made myself sick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it was in. Well, I remember it was in Covent Garden actually, because I remember it was after one of the marathon runs, and I remember. See, it sounds weird because I actually got a picture, off of this Anomia forum thing that they'd sent me, and they were like, stick this picture in the toilets. Bear in mind, I'm in a pub, I can't remember what pub it is, and I'd put the picture like above the toilet, right? And I was like, oh, look at this picture, because I was scared, because you have to put your finger I've put my fingers down my throat, and I was like, maybe I'm gonna die, like da da da. And I remember doing it, and I was in this pub, and I remember I was in the toilet for ages, and I was with all my family. I think it was marathon day, so it was really busy. And I think I still had a Samsung phone, so I was probably playing like Polyphonic, like Crazy Frog or something. But yeah, and I remember afterwards though, like I could not wait to get back on this forum. I couldn't wait to get back to my nans to get on this forum to tell them. And I remember thinking, people say you'll get addicted to this. I will never get addicted to this. But after I got back to my nans, yeah, and I went on that forum, and the amount of acceptance I got from all of those people, and they were like, right, now you're in the bulimia group. And I was so like, I felt so proud and so happy. And I was just like, right, this is it. And then from then on, I was like addicted.
That's crazy. And so when all this was happening, obviously you was dropping a lot of weight. Was anyone around you saying anything like, oh, you look a bit thin, or?
It was kind of up and down. And the thing is with bulimia is you can be throwing up all the time. So I went for a stage where I was like so for that bit, then I was throwing up everything I ate. So then I lost weight. But then like all of a sudden you lose your gag reflex. Right. And then this like it stops working. Okay. And then you have like a massive binge and you can't be sick anymore.
Right.
And then you can be bulimic and still be a normal weight, which is the thing. And then people will look at you and think you don't have an eating disorder. And especially with things like that, you almost feel like you have to get to this tiny, tiny weight to deserve to be sick enough. And it's almost like you want help, but you also want to deserve help, and you don't feel like you deserve the help unless you're thin enough.
Right.
So it's almost like you're embarrassed to say you've got an eating disorder unless you're literally about to die. Like you feel like you have to be at that point of like death to even admit that you have an eating disorder, which obviously isn't true, but your mind is so kind of messed up that you feel so... It's like I feel like uncomfortable even speaking about saying I've got an eating disorder because I think like, I'm like, I don't look like I've got an eating disorder. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you feel like you have to be a waif to say that you've got a problem with your eating.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you don't deserve any help.
Right.
Because you're like, I'm failing. Like,
yeah,
I'm not tiny. So I'm failing at my eating disorder. I'm not like winning at it. It's really weird. It's the most competitive, secretive thing, which is why it's so difficult to talk about, because it's like even now I want to get better and I want it to go, but at the same time I still cling on to it.
Right.
So it's
because you want to keep in control.
Yeah, I want control over it, but it's so difficult to kind of get rid of. It's kind of something you have to live with.
And being in like a loving, close family, and you've got quite a big family, you've got cousins, you're all very close. You know, sitting at the dinner table eating and stuff like that, would you then just after that you would then go off and do what you needed to do?
Yeah.
And how did you hide that in like within your family and stuff?
You just become so sneaky.
Right.
So you become so sneaky, and it's worse when someone finds out, because then they look back and they're like, how did I not know this? Like, how
and
did
then
I not
realise?
realise?
Oh my God, the signs were there.
Yeah. And then when they realise, they're like, oh my God, like it's obvious. But then as soon as you know someone's watching you, you have to become even more sneaky, and your life revolves around your eating, and you'll ditch any relationship, you'll ditch any friend, any arrangement, going out, anything. Your eating disorder comes first.
Right. And how has this illness affected your body?
Well, I mean, so it affects your bones. So, and it affects your heart.
So you've got.
So it makes your bones it makes your bones brittler.
Is that what's happened to you?
Heart. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then obviously it affects your mental state massively, like massively, massively. It affects, especially when you're being sick all the time, it affects your electrolytes and your potassium, which makes you you're much more likely to have a heart attack. It affects you being able to have kids.
Right.
A lot. Obviously your periods.
Yeah, they stop.
You you become a different person. And just to be honest, for the rest of your life, you never completely feel in control of it, because you've always got this like thing on your shoulder that makes you feel a sense of guilt,
right,
for
when
everything. Yeah.
Mm.
And it's like, you always have this guilt that you have to kind of keep control of. It's something you always have to keep control of. And it's just a horrible fear. It's like a
So it's
dream.
not something that's just going to go away.
No.
No.
I don't think with mine it will ever go away.
No.
I just think it's something I have to always keep control of. Because I know even if I go to like eating, even when I've gone to eating disorder places to have help for it, then it triggers me and I get worse, because then my eating disorder competes against the people that are also trying to get better. And then, so yeah, it's just, it's just, that's why I try and talk about it as much as I can, because the more I talk about it and the more people know, the less sneaky I can be with my eating disorder.
No, definitely.
Because people are aware.
And for parents out there, what would be the signs if their son or daughter was going through this? So they could maybe like,
So I think even with just things, it's like, if someone has an eating disorder or anything, you just need to be so careful what you say. Because even just the tiniest little things you say about someone's weight, or you say about eating, or even, especially if you don't look like you've got an eating disorder, but if you say something, people need to take it really seriously, because that one thing that someone says can have such a big effect on someone, and that can change their whole, do you know what I mean? That can really affect them for life, and you don't really realise what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of things said to me when I was younger that really long-term affected me, and people just would flippantly say it. And also, I mean, with bulimia and things, like, you could lose a bit of weight, but I mean, your cheeks get puffy, your throat swells up. Obviously, going to the toilet and stuff after meals, you might, if with anorexia, you might be separating your food more. You get like your emotion, everything is around emotion. So your eating is kind of around emotions. Like, it's not like hunger.
right.
It's emotional. So, and if someone says something, like, I don't know, like you've put on a bit of weight or you've lost weight, like everything, it's like your emotions just go boom. Rather than, if someone just flips off a comment or something, it's like, rah, 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 like hormones.
Yeah.
Like a mad emotional flip out, rather than just being able to brush it off.
Yeah. And so what age, because you did self-harm.
Yep.
Obviously you've got that under control now, haven't you? But what age did you start doing that?
So when I first done that, I think was probably, year 7-ish. So really quite young.
And again, that was because of the bullying, wasn't it?
That was to do with the bullying, and to do with, also I was encouraged on that site.
Oh yeah.
And that was kind of it was a punishment thing.
Yeah.
And it was and then that got greater over like the period of time.
Right.
And it just felt like it was kind of like a release.
Right. When you first cut yourself, how did that feel?
So I would say that was kind of, do you know what? Some of the times at first, it was literally because I felt like I had to, because of that, when I was on those websites. And I do remember, like, some people on the websites were starting to say, oh, it's addictive. No. I was thinking, this can't be addictive. Like, how can that be addictive? And, but it is.
Yeah. Did it hurt, or was it just a shock?
So at first, it did. But then I kind of felt like I was doing the right thing, because then when I come back and say, then I kind of felt like more accepted. That was the addiction. Like, I just wanted to be accepted by this group. But then it was like, but the more I got into the eating disorder, the more I got more like transfixed. And then I started ordering diet pills. I actually ended up taking this one diet pill. I ended up with my whole tongue turned into an ulcer. And I ended up in hospital. Like, I would take anything that I thought would make me thinner, or that I thought would make me smaller, or just, like, you lose all respect for your body, because you just think, I will do anything to achieve this goal. You've got tunnel vision. And then if you couldn't do it, you felt like such a failure. And then the self-harm turned into an addiction, because it was like, oh my God, I can't do anything right. I don't know what to do. And then your mind starts racing. You don't know what to do with yourself. And then you kind of self-harm and you're like, oh, it's a release.
Right.
And you don't kind of feel the pain.
And you would think your parents would see this. Where was you doing it?
I would hide it.
Right.
So I would hide it so well.
So just for parents out there that might think their kids are going through it, like, where did they hide it?
So I would do it on my arms, and I'd make sure I wore long sleeves, or like the top of my legs. Or, I mean, we have cats. I mean, obviously, like, this isn't all the cats now. Say it's a scratch for the cat, or I would try and hide it as best. I mean, I am quite clumsy, but there's only so many scratches you can have. But literally, but then as it got worse, then I'd end up having to go to hospital and have stitches and things like that. So it did, like, it escalated. But that's the thing, like, something starts small.
Right, yeah.
And it's kind of, you think it's under control, but it just gets bigger.
Yeah. How has it ever got really, really bad that you just said you went to hospital?
Yeah.
Has it ever been like a life or death? Like,
so it has been so bad. Like, if I hadn't got to the hospital and got stitches, I would have literally died.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, it does get extreme. And the thing is especially with my bipolar and stuff, where your mind just gets so wrapped up in all of this that you just, where I got to a point where I just, all I was thinking about was just like, I can't handle this this circle of, like, it was just it was a vicious circle. I felt like I was always failing. I could never get to whatever it was that I was aiming for, or whatever it is that I wanted to get to. And you end up in such a negative circle of just self-abuse that everything's negative. And I thought, you know what, like, there's just no point in my life, because I thought, like, it wasn't even like I had anyone to prove myself to anymore other than myself. And everything I thought about myself was negative. So it was kind of like I was just ripping myself apart. And I just thought, I just don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of my friends or my family or anything like that, because everything around me was okay-ish, which kind of made everything worse, which made me hate myself even more. Because they'd be like, well, why are you doing this to yourself? And I didn't want to talk to anyone, didn't want to do anything about it. And so everything was just completely internal. And it was just like, I didn't feel like there was any point to anything.
Yeah. And obviously you have got bipolar.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise this when I was searching it. Actually, the eating disorder is related to bipolar, is it?
Yeah.
And so is self-harming. No, I actually didn't realise that. So, so the relationships around you, how did it affect, like, your bipolar? How does it affect relationships around you?
People think I'm mad. But I don't know. So I guess, so to be honest, with the bipolar and, like, that links in with depression a lot, you let people down a lot.
Yeah.
As in, I can be, like, because I want to go out, I want to do things and blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes I just literally don't want to do, I'll get, so I don't want to leave the house or do anything. And then I'll have, like, a massive, like, period of just feeling, like, so crap.
Yeah.
And I don't want to leave the house or do anything. And then, or I want to get ready and be out at a certain time, and then I'm like, I'm just staring at the wall for ages.
Yeah.
And, like, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
But I have no reason that I can't do anything.
Yeah.
But I think I've done loads because I've just
No,
thought
yeah,
it all in my head.
Definitely. And 1.3 million people in the UK actually suffer from bipolar, and they're the only ones that have sought help. And bipolar actually runs in your family, doesn't it? Did your
so it was my, I think my grandma had it.
Yeah.
But it can run in a family, and it could be like, is it hereditary? Genetic?
Yeah.
I
was going to say that, but I can't even pronounce that word.
Yeah,
so I was just like, the grandma's got it.
I was waiting for you to say it. But yeah, I think, like, mental health things do run in the family.
Yeah.
I think, like, you know, like how you said back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But how you said that things weren't spoken about.
No.
So when I was younger,
things
weren't spoken about. And now when I look back on it, when I was quite young, I did show a lot of, like, signs of bipolar, signs of mental health that now, kids today, that would be noticed. But because things now weren't spoken about,
No.
then it's like it goes on. It does go unnoticed for a lot longer. And it's like they say kids with ADHD and things, because the doctor's testing me for ADHD, and it's like the ADHD kids, the whole world is very negative up until a certain age.
Right.
And that's just because the way in which like teachers and people speak to them is you could do a lot better, or you could try harder, or you could do this. And it's just because of like how you were when you were a child, the way that you get spoken to.
Yeah.
Like,
and back in the day, kids with
just
ADHD, you just probably thought they were just naughty kids.
Yeah, you just think like they could do so much better if they concentrated. But that's just how you spoke to them. So the way their little minds think is, I could do better if I tried harder. Like they always think they're not good enough. But whereas now that you speak to them differently, because you know that like they might have this, that, and the other. So everyone's so much more aware that it's so different now.
And people that are watching who they don't know what bipolar is, it's a mental illness. Sometimes you can be really, really high, and sometimes you can be really, really low. And I mean, I've got to say, I've known you for a good 8 years, maybe a little bit longer.
Lucky you.
And oh my God, you literally make so much more sense now to me, right? Because, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But basically, the highs are... You can't sleep, you're restless, you talk really fast, you can't sit still, you're over-obsessing about things, maybe go on a spending spree or like gambling your life savings away. And the lows would be depression, uncontrollable sadness, negative thoughts like suicide, isolating yourself away from people, losing interest in activities, physical pain, tiredness and lack of hygiene. Yeah. I mean, I've never noticed the lack of hygiene part. I'm just going to say that. Yeah. You always look clean to me. Have you ever had any suicide thoughts?
Yeah, no, I have. Definitely. I've had times where I've been like really low. And I think with the highs as well, you almost ride the high because you know, I mean, it's like you ride the high because you know that when you get really manic, to be honest, sometimes it is just completely out of control, but you also know that you're then gonna probably get really
low.
Yeah, and it's almost days, it's almost scary because you know that if you stop, then you're gonna suddenly be so low, and it's almost like you don't know which way to go, and people can say like, oh my God, like what's wrong with you? And then all of a sudden it flips and you're like, oh my God, and now I'm like so depressed, and then you're like, why did you do this to me? Why have you flipped it all over? And you're trying to get back up again, and then
and I ain't gonna lie, I went out with you once on a night out. I think I invited you out with all my friends, and we were all on the dance floor, and you were giving it some, and normally it's me that's giving it some, right? And everyone was like, what is your friend taken? I'm like, she's only on
oh my God, I remember that.
She's only on water.
That was when I wasn't drinking as well.
And everyone was looking at you like, what, you were proper bouncing off the walls, and it just all makes sense now.
That's when I was so active. I think I got my nan to pick me up.
Like you was going for it on the dance floor, and like so much so everyone like was in a circle.
Stopped and was watching.
Everyone started circling you, and I was like, I've never seen her like this before. It was just crazy. So it all makes sense now. It does all make sense. It's mad.
It's the first time I've made sense, thanks. And we caught it on camera.
Exactly. And I was like, I promise you, she's only on water. I've been with her the whole day. They're like, no, she's definitely taking something. Because that's a side effect. People think that you might be on drugs when you're not.
No, a lot of the time, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's almost like I'll talk too much or I'll move too much. And I'm like, oh my God, my body's moving without me. And I'm like, I don't know how to stop it.
And you talk really fast. So have you ever had any help? Because I know you did go to rehab, didn't you? But it was a traumatic... You've been in rehab 4 times. People that are listening, like, why did it take 4 times?
Well, I think the first time I went, to be honest, I wasn't maybe 100% ready to go. I didn't necessarily go for the right reasons. I went to the Priory, and to be honest, they didn't really... I don't think I was really dealt with correctly there. Okay. They didn't really address my bipolar, I don't think. And I was quite unwell, and also my eating disorder got so much worse when I was in there.
Okay.
And then I think, to be fair, I think I had so many different things going on and so many different things that I did need to address. And it kind of took a few times. I go once when you can go four. But no, it kind of did take a few times. And I also had to kind of, I wanted help and I wanted to get better. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm fully better now, but I also had to kind of accept help.
Right.
So it took like, it's like, you know how people build up like a million walls? Yeah. There were so many walls that I'd built up. So as much as I'd spent, I don't know, I'd spent such a long time pretending to doctors and nurses and psychiatrists and counsellors that I was okay. Then to just go somewhere and be expected to talk to someone and just completely open up was really difficult. Right. So it took a long time to find people that I could trust, that I could talk to, and actually say that I had these issues.
Yeah. I've never been to Priory before, so what's it like?
At that one, so it was, to be honest, it was kind of a mismatch of different people with different problems, and then you all went off into your groups,
right?
And obviously you stayed there.
Because I imagine it like all white walls, padded walls, or is that site?
Only for me. I'm joking.
Psychiatric.
No, it was like, it was kind of a bit just like a hospital, but a bit nicer. And then you just had like a TV room.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you did have a traumatic experience in you one of the times you went.
Well, so I did meet someone in the Priory that then he actually that then went on and he did abuse me after.
So you had a relationship with him?
So it wasn't, well, I was friends with him.
Okay.
But the thing is,
they do say you're not allowed to mix, don't they?
Yeah. So you're not actually meant to mix with people that are in different groups.
Okay.
And they should have really, I mean, I was really vulnerable when I was in the Priory. Right. So they should have really kept an eye on that. And I went to 3, that I left the Priory, and I went to different rehab after that, which was really beneficial for me, which was somewhere completely different. But then I continued a friendship with this person, which was very stupid. But this is what I mean. I was in a very like weak place, and I did think this person was my friend. But that ended up like he did assault me quite badly. So, but I can't talk about it too much because that's an ongoing
court case.
Yeah. But so that was quite traumatic, and also it also kind of did again make me realise how with all of these issues and things that I've had, it does make me like, because when you see someone that you think is struggling, it does make you very easy to be manipulated,
right?
Because you want to help. Like if someone says to you then they're struggling because you have, then you want to help them because you think, like you wish someone had helped you when you were in a bad situation and when you were kind of going off the rails. You want to be a person that can help someone else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like it's a difficult thing because it also makes you like very easy to be taken advantage of.
Definitely.
Which is what I find very difficult. So I'm working on that a lot. Yeah. I'm finding that difficult because to be honest, I'm like, I do find that very difficult because my instant reaction to everything is kind of when someone asks me something is say yes. And it's still like that ingrained in me, like with like for like, you know, if to please other people. And then if someone's like, oh, like why can't you do that or why can't you do this, then I feel guilty and I want to do what they say. Definitely. But that doesn't always end well for people. So, but it hasn't made me regret going to the rehab, I suppose.
And so, like, sitting here today, like, how are you? Like, how do you feel in yourself? And Do you feel like you've got like your eating disorder, your self-harming and your bipolar all under control?
I would say I feel. Do you know what? I can honestly say if I didn't go to rehab, I would definitely be dead.
Oh, really? Yeah.
100%. It's made me, because I, like, even now, like, I do like meditation. I would never have done that. Like, just sitting with myself. I can sit with myself, which many other people can't sit with me at all. So if I can sit with myself, that's a good thing. But like, I do try and evaluate situations a lot more. So don't get me wrong. I'm literally, like, I am in no way completely better, and I do still mess different things up quite a lot. I mean, like, after I found out about, because I didn't find out about the assault situation at all until quite a while after I come out of all of the rehabs.
Okay.
I haven't been back in rehab since.
Right.
And after I found out about that, then I went through like quite a dark couple of months. But I got myself out of that. Like, I didn't go into rehab to get out of that. And I would never have been able to do that had I have not learned all of those. Don't know why I'm doing this. Had I have not learned all of those different techniques and things like that, and my head wouldn't be. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to think logically about anything at all. Everything would just be like 0 to 100 in every single situation. So I can't remember what you asked.
And with your eating disorder, you're really trying hard now, aren't you, to like, because there is a reason, isn't there?
Yes.
Do you want to?
So now I'm pregnant.
Yay! Oh my God, I just got all like, it made me feel all weird.
So yeah. So now, to be honest, it's the longest I've ever like I'm being really good with my eating disorder.
Yeah.
Because of that.
I see all your stories now, and you're properly eating like proper food.
Yeah, completely. And I know, do you know what? It's also like, it's really weird because it's like I'm trying to prove it to myself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I've just eaten a whole meal and it was a really healthy meal. So I'm going to post it on my Instagram, and then I'm like, oh, that's so pathetic. But I'm going to do it anyway.
No, yeah.
But it's better than trying to prove that you're doing something wrong.
No, yeah. And obviously, you know, you got to look after the baby and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So. But do you know what? My whole mentality has completely changed, and it has been gradually changing over the past like a few, well, probably over the past like 6-7 months. It's just been gradually changing. And I do think now, when I think back when I was in that really, really negative circle, it's just mad to think how I feel now, because don't get me wrong, I have massive lows and I do have like these manic phases, but it's nothing like how I used to allow myself to feel, because I would just manifest all of my negativity and I'd just carry on feeling it and allowing myself to feel it. Whereas now I'm kind of just however crap I do feel, I do know that I can feel better. Whereas then people will say you can feel better, but I had no inkling of a feeling that I wanted to feel better, or that I would feel better, or that anything could get better. It's just literally like, it's kind of like every breath is like a gulp of water. Yeah. And there's no air to breathe. Whereas now, it's just such a shift, which is just, I don't know, you just feel grateful for every nice feeling. It's just so nice. And you're not suffering alone anymore, because obviously your family know about it, and obviously you talk about it now as well, which must help as well. Do you know what? It really does. It's almost like, it's probably boring for people to hear, but I'm just... No, I think it will help a lot of people. Yeah, the thing is that's probably the best thing is now that I do talk about it, because when I stop talking about it, then I get secretive. And if I get secretive, then my mind allows me to go into that place. Right. And the second, I think with anyone suffering with anything, there's so many other people that have exactly the same thing. That like there really is just so many people that are suffering with the same things. And like with anxiety, with depression, with eating, with just so much stuff. Like, yeah, it's literally, it's ridiculous. If you just say one thing, there'll be 5 other people at the table that have got exactly the same thing. Yeah. And everyone just sits there, like, going over it in their head and mulling it over and feeling crapper and crapper, when really there's like 4 or 5 other people feeling exactly the same. If they all just said it to each other, then they'd realise that the main reason they're going over in their head feeling bad is because they feel like they're alone.
Yeah.
And you're actually really not. I mean, obviously there's different extremes and different things that have happened, but it is like, it's sad that so many people are going through it.
No, definitely.
But it's such a weight off your shoulders when you just talk about it.
Yeah.
Because...
And what would you say to people that are going through any of the, you know, bipolar eating disorder, self-harming?
Well, just not to be embarrassed about it, and
Yeah.
just to open up and speak about it. And I mean, it's like how people get embarrassed about being sad. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially like with men and things. I mean, it's just an emotion. You have to feel every emotion. I mean, like if you start laughing now,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, oh my God, give you a tissue and put your hand over your mouth
Yeah.
and say, can you stop laughing, please, to make me uncomfortable? But if you start crying,
Yeah.
then instantly I'm giving you a tissue and going, oh, there, stop.
I'll be like, oh, shut up.
Because
No,
yeah,
I'm joking.
but it's like I'm doing it to make me feel comfortable,
Yeah.
not to make you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm going, oh, like there, stop crying. But if you're laughing, I'm not going to go, oh, there, can you stop laughing, please? Stop being happy.
Yeah.
I feel insecure. Can you stop being happy, please? Do you know what I mean?
And
It's just an emotion,
yeah.
just the same as every other one. It's just we've been trained over time.
Exactly. And that's why, you know, when you've always done your like funny things, crazy things, whatever, I'm just like, oh, let's just live. Let's just live. And that's why we love her.
Yeah.
Because she's different.
Yeah.
And obviously, yeah, doing this, I've found out, so it's mad that you know someone for 8 years and you just thought, oh yeah, she's just, you know, and then
she's just weird.
But then like, you know, but yeah, it's mad.
But the thing is, yeah, you can just like put a positive light on everything, really, because, yeah, I don't know. I just tell people to talk more. It shuts me up.
Well, thank you so much for coming
That's
on.
all right.